Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Modix back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to never die in the cycle. So a ton of newer players to this cycle always have the problem about dying too early and not being able to learn the game while they play it. So sometimes they have to go to the virtual match because they can't hold up to all the other prospectors' levels. So today we're going to be teaching you guys how you can survive better in the cycle with using a certain ability, and this ability is the Directional Warp. So just to start, there are two options for the Directional Warp. There's either the Warp Bomb or the Directional Warp. The Warp Bomb is just a variation of the Directional Warp, which allows you to basically decrease the amount of distance that you cover, but you actually deal damage to the area that you spawn on, or transport to, teleport to, whichever you want to say, but you basically deal damage to this area. But my personal opinion is to use the Directional Warp just because I want to get the most distance with each warp that I use. So to start off, let's just talk about the basics with this warp. What you're going to do is you're basically just going to use it, and in whichever direction you're facing, it's going to throw this kind of beam, I guess, and you get to teleport to where that beam lands. So this ability costs 150 credits, just like all the other abilities. And I would personally probably buy it after I pick up my 200 credit weapon, especially if you're going for PvP. You want that better weapon first, but you don't want to forget about your Directional Warp ability, because what could happen is you go into a fight and you get knocked and there's nothing you can do except use your emergency triage. So especially like if you already die, it's a given that you need to have the Directional Warp so that you don't get foamed all the way. So let's go ahead and talk about how to use this ability in PvP. So to start off, I would definitely run this with an SMG and either a turret or a snare trap. This is just where this ability works to its max potential, just because with the SMG, you're allowed to spray as much damage into your opponent as you can in a short amount of time. And with the Directional Warp, you can definitely use a ton of skills to basically spray as much as possible. And then the reason I would say turret or snare trap is because it deals damage to your opponent and it kind of sticks them in one place. But anyways, here's what you're going to want to do in order to get those kills with PvP. And this is one of my ways that I can play. You can always think of other ways, but I feel like this is what works the best. So let's say that you're approaching a fight or just one enemy. So let's say it's in solos. You're going to want to go up to this enemy and start spraying at them with your SMG. Once they turn towards you, then you're going to want to warp behind them. If they never turn towards you, keep on spraying at them. Don't ever use your Directional Warp. But if they do decide to turn at you and start shooting, be sure to Directional Warp right behind them. Once you warp, what you're going to want to do is turn around and place your turret or snare trap. Next, you will want to reload your weapon, make sure that you have a full clip, start spraying them again. This should honestly knock them down, because basically if you have the snare trap, they can't do very much because they're going to be freaking out, because I know a ton of players will freak out if they get attached to a snare trap. They won't try to find it and shoot it right away. But if this happens to you, be sure that you're looking to do that first. Or then the turret, they're going to turn around and start trying to focus the turret while you're getting done reloading, and then just spray them. And they don't have that much health. You should be able to kill anybody using this method. But just in case it doesn't work, I mean, just be prepared to get out of the situation as easily as possible. And that's just going to take practice. And honestly, using the Directional Warp will take practice. So if you don't get it right away, just be sure to try again. But then, guys, we have another case scenario where you could use this, and it's if you ever get knocked down while in a fight. You can actually use the Directional Warp to get to safety. This is going to take the most amount of practice because you have to read each situation and play it smart. So let's say that somebody's facing you and there's a huge rock behind them. I would try directionally warping onto the rock and then dropping behind it so that they can't find you. I've survived the down but not out state so much by using this Directional Warp. And if you guys use it, you will begin to survive more in the cycle. But guys, that's only the PvP side of this. because now we get into the PvE side and everything else. So I say everything else because you don't have to PvP with this. You can get away from PvPers with the directional warp by just having more movement speed than them. You can just use your directional warp, go in crazy angles, and then wait for the cooldown to reset and then use it again to just try to get as much distance between you and your opponent as possible. But guys, now we're getting into the PvE side of things. So basically, my huge suggestion with the PvE tips is don't really use it to kill AIs because you don't need to do it. Like, especially like if you are using Warp Bomb, I don't suggest this at all. Like I said earlier, like just don't use it because you're going to want to be saving it for when a prospector rolls up on you while you're killing the AIs or to move from contract to contract. So just be sure that if you do ever get knocked, you have it so that you're able to get to safety, because everybody has the moments where just a ton of AIs just come and just like swarm you at once and you end up going down. Happens to the best of us. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just me. But still, I use my directional warp to get out of that situation. And then the next thing that we have is what I mentioned earlier. You can move to contract quicker. So what I mean by this is, let's say that you have Hunt. Hunt's a great example to use with the directional warp because it spawns. So Hunt creatures spawn in these circles that are placed around the map. And you have to get from each circle to circle as quickly as possible if you want to get the max amount of VPs from the Hunt contract. So basically what I would do is warp over to the first circle, take some time spraying down the other enemies, and then warp to the next one. Then you just keep on repeating this and you should be able to get more VPs than everyone else because you have the best movement speed. Another great thing that uses this same situation is Uplink. Uplink, there's 3 Uplink spots, but they're spaced very far around the map. So you're going to want to have your directional warp ready so that you can warp to the next location as quickly as possible so that you can basically get all the maximum points for Uplink. Okay guys, so this next tip, this is probably the most professional tip I can give you guys with the directional warp, and this takes 100 IQ to use. So you ready for this? What you're going to want to do is, if you have the laser drill contract, let the opponents go for it. They can go for it, and then once they come down to start shooting the AIs, sneak onto the laser drill with your directional warp. Learn where this is, and then all you have to do is just shoot your directional warp through the window, and you can go and steal it, and they might not notice. And then they're doing your job for you. They are destroying the AIs and keeping the drill safe, and you're getting free VPs from it, and they're wasting their time. So this is like a pro's strat that you guys can use, but it does take practice and skill. I have not been playing in laser drill games recently, or else I would be doing this more often. Guys, next I want to talk about capping uplink. So let's say that you're in a pretty well-based match, like with good skilled players. They're going to be going for uplink, and you do not want to waste your time fighting if you're going for high VPs. So what I would recommend is going and trying to cap uplink if nobody's there, and maybe just head early to the uplinks. And then there are a ton of hiding spots in uplink where you can go and just hide. But then right when it activates, people are going to be coming. So if you want that small bit of uplink, you cap it, and then you can warp out of the evac zone or uplink zone. So that this way you can just go and complete more contracts, get more VPs, and hopefully get a bigger lead on your opponents. So that's all the PvP and PvE tips that I have. Now let's go ahead and talk about the upgrades. So I think the most important part about the directional warp is the upgrades. You can spend 100 credits to upgrade it one time, and you can do this twice. So basically you spend 200 credits to upgrade it, and you get a 15-second reduction of the cooldown. So the first upgrade you have costs 100 credits, and you get a 5-second cooldown. Then you spend another 100 credits and you get the 10-second cooldown. This is the max you can upgrade it to, and it's so smart to upgrade it to this because you get to have more movement quicker. because you don't have to wait as long for the cooldown in order to use the directional warp again. So guys, overall, this is a must-have ability to be using if you want to compete in high-level matches and get high VP games. So my biggest tip to you guys, put this into your gear store, into your loadout, and try to learn it. If you're a new player, practice the directional warp in the virtual match or the training ground, because once you get the hang of it, you're going to be such a better player. Guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and this video did bring you guys some more tips to get better at the cycle. If it did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because right now we are right around 12 subscribers more to 1,000 subscribers. We're trying to hit it before the new year. So if you're watching this and haven't already subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Guys, that's it for today's video. Hope this did help you out, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.